the next half an hour or so, we'll reflect on an extraordinary start to the Matthew Mott era. The new coach watching his side break the record for the highest ODI score. England making 498 for 4 with 3 centuries. The Netherlands eventually falling well short, all out for 266. We'll hear from Mott shortly, as well as getting the thoughts from the man at the top of Dutch cricket. But we have to start with the mayhem of England's batting. Alex Hartley, World Cup winner with England in 2017, was watching. It has been a spectacular day, Alex. Where do we even begin?
I honestly have no idea. I mean, we sort of laughed and joked at the start of play and said England could get 500 one day this trip. But you never actually believe that it's going to happen. You think going into an ODI, 360, maybe even 400, but 498 for 4. 3 people getting centuries. There was just fireworks every single 5 minutes.
Let's go through the innings then. They lost an early wicket, England, Jason Roy. We'll forget about that one. We'll park that.
That was a little win for the Netherlands.
It was a little win. He was actually bowled by his cousin, Shane Snater. There's a little fact for you. But then we go through the 3 centurions. First of all, Phil Salt, 122, a maiden ODI 100 for him. Came from just 93 deliveries. Superb.
It really was, and the fact, he's at the top of the order, playing for England. He's been in decent form for Lancashire this summer. Probably would have wanted a few more runs if he's going to be honest with himself. And then to come out today and bat the way he did, under pressure as well, having lost that early wicket. But to go out and 122 off 93, he was brilliant. 14 fours in that as well. David
Malan also scored 100, and in doing so becomes just the second male English cricketer to score 100 across all 3 formats. 125 from 109 balls. It sounds relatively slow going, but it was an important anchoring role. It was.
He set up a really good platform with Phil Salt for England to be able to capitalise on that later on in the innings. And, you go through the scorecard, and 125 off 109, it does seem quite slow when we're about to tell you how quickly Buttler got his 150. But it was an important role to play for Dawid Malan, and an extremely proud moment for him to become that second Englishman to score a century in all 3 formats.
Jos Buttler had an amazing IPL. We know all about what he can do. 162 from 70 balls with 14 sixes, and he was close to breaking his own record for the quickest century ever scored by an England batsman. It was phenomenal to watch. It was almost like we were watching a computer game. I mean, we've said it time and time again with Jos Buttler. Is there a better white ball player in the world right now? Absolutely not. He is in unbelievable form. And the way he came out, and, the team were probably thinking, let's try and get 400. He was like, nah, let's try and get 500. It was extraordinary. He was hitting 6 after 6 after 6. And it just seemed that there was no way that the Dutch could handle it.
No, we had crowd members, the Netherlands team, looking for balls in bushes, in rivers that we've got out the side of the ground here. We're surrounded by water and forestry, and we were trying to find cricket balls as he was hitting them over the press tent. It was just incredible the way he went about his batting innings, and the way he was able to just carry on with that momentum. He had a period where he was batting with Liam Livingstone. He didn't face a ball for a while, but then the next ball he faced, he still hit for 6. It was just extraordinary.
Speaking of those disappearing cricket balls, I had a little look online at how much one of these international white balls costs.
They're expensive, aren't
120 quid a time. Mm-hmm. 9 of them Jos Buttler is responsible for. That's over £1,000 of cricket material.
It's been an expensive day for the Netherlands.
It has been an expensive day. Even by his own amazing standards, he just seemed to be playing a completely different game to anyone else. But it is worth mentioning that the Dutch bowling is limited. It is not like facing Australia, India. It isn't quite the same thing. No, there are some heavy bowling figures for the Netherlands. When you look down the scorecard, one of the bowlers going for over 100 in his 10 overs. They have got 5 players missing for the Netherlands because their best players end up playing county cricket, and that becomes their full-time job. The Netherlands aren't full-time. They've not got test status. So it was always going to be a tough ask for them. I think the Netherlands will feel pretty deflated after, conceding 498. Enough of Buttler. Well, certainly I'm sure that's how the Netherlands side found it. But what about Liam Livingstone? He came in at the end of the innings, 2 balls short of the fastest ODI half-century, scoring 50 off 17 balls, finishing with 66 off 22. Well, to make this sound scarier, he was 41 off 11 balls. I mean, that is just
scarily good. You know, he's one of these cricketers that can change a game, take the game away from you. No wonder he goes and plays franchise cricket all around the world, because he is so good. He hits the ball so far. You know, I think his first 3 balls he hit for 6. They were just unstoppable.
Yeah. One moment I enjoyed, Alex, was when the England crowd started chanting "boring, boring England" when they only hit 4 from the penultimate ball of the innings.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? So there'd be a 4 rather than a 6, and the crowd, we've had a brilliant crowd here today. The Barmy Army in particular have been chanting all day, and then when there was a single, they got booed.
It's been a lot about the occasion today, hasn't it? It's really felt like a carnival. It's felt like a cricket festival.
It really has. I think that's because there's been so many fans here. It was basically sold out. The stands were full. The drinks were flowing all afternoon. The beautiful weather. It's felt like you said, like a cricket festival, and it's just been so much fun.
I went and had a little walk around the back of the ground early on today, and about midway through the second innings, saw a huge Heineken lorry reversing urgently with a resupply, because obviously they weren't quite anticipating the thirst of the England supporters.
Yeah, I don't think the Netherlands quite expected the England fans to drink as much as they did.
It was quite a lively and raucous affair. In terms of the run chase, we never thought that Netherlands would get anywhere close, but they were only all out in the final over of the innings. 266 is a very credible effort.
Yeah, it is indeed. I think they'll look back and say, can we get even closer to 300? When you're chasing a mammoth total of, 499 to win, you've got to set yourself little targets. They had a really good power play, did the Netherlands, after 10 overs. I think they were 59 for 1. I think they started really well. And then from there, you've got to try and capitalise on that start and keep rotating the strike, trying to find the boundaries. It was a pretty decent effort. I think next time they'll say, can we try and get 280, 300?
For England, what are they looking for from the remaining games in this series? Because, yeah, they can talk about scoring 500, but maybe squad rotation as well.
I think we'll see that among the bowlers. 3 bowlers sat on the sideline, so we might see a couple of the bowlers being rotated, but that batting lineup's not going to change. I think they will try and break that record again. I don't see why they can't. We might see England have a bowl first as well on Sunday, just to change things up. Owen Morgan said at the toss that he would have bowled first as well today, so I'm pretty sure he'd be glad they batted first in the end. Maybe not Owen Morgan himself with his golden duck, but I think it's a good opportunity to really show the strength and depth in English white ball cricket. We've got players, Bairstow, Stokes, Root in the test side. They're not even here, they're back in England, so it's a huge opportunity for some of these lads to really put their hand up and capitalise on this opportunity.
And we did expect a heavy England win, there's no question about that. Did we expect this?
Well, we joked about it at the start, so maybe subconsciously we sort of did. But no, you don't ever expect somebody to score 500, a team to score 500 in an ODI. It just seems ludicrous, doesn't it, when you're thinking about it? But where can this England team go? That's the scary thing.
It is, and certainly the ground as it is, it's a beautiful venue here in Amstelveen. You've got the trees all around, quite short boundaries. If you're going to score 500 in an ODI, your backing it might be here against these opponents. Yeah,
there's a really short boundary. I think it's only 58 metres down one side of the ground and then a little bit larger to the other. But it didn't matter how big the boundaries were today for England. They just kept hitting the ball out of the cricket stadium.
Would you like to see some changes to the England squad and a little bit of a mix it up, and Luke Wood possibly getting an opportunity?
Yeah, I would like to see the other 3 seamers have a go. Obviously, I want to see Luke Wood make his England debut, now move from Nottingham to Lancashire. But for Owen Morgan now, there's the question of, do we rotate the seamers? I think he said that Sam Curran will probably be rotated. He's coming back from injury. Or do we just keep that ruthless streak?
Big night planned for Amsterdam, Alex? Friday night?
Just a quiet one. I've got a flight tomorrow.
I'm sure, yes. Well, I imagine quite a few of the supporters will be having a quieter evening than an afternoon. Certainly, it has been one of the most remarkable days you'll ever see, and it's quite remarkable when somebody scores a century quicker than a runner ball and isn't the player of the match. But David Milan, I spoke to after play today. He was on the boundary edge and gave me his reaction. It is an extraordinary achievement to have hit 498 runs in a one day. Can you believe that this side's managed that?
Yes, if you look at over the last couple of years how the white ball team has developed, everyone has complete buy-in, and the skills that everyone has and the freedom that Owen has created for people to go and express themselves, it just shows how this team constantly pushes the boundaries, and to get that close is disappointing. It would have been nice they've got those 2 more runs, but you know, it just gives us something else to play for again.
How proud are you of your performance today? Because it was the anchor around which the others were going mad.
Yeah, that was the role I was given, and you play the role that you're told to do. You know, just, you know, chuffed to have scored 100 and to contribute to the win.
And a significance as well in being a player to have scored 100 across all 3 formats for England. That is a pretty exclusive club.
Yeah, it's just me and Joss. I don't know how. I've only scored 300s in my career, and I've won in each. So I don't know what the other legends of England were doing, not to have done that. But yeah, no, look, it's fantastic to have that and to join Joss. Yeah, it's good fun, isn't it? It's good fun.
Going into a game like today, you're expected to score big runs. Do you talk about how many you're expecting to get as a side?
No, it's something Morgs always says is, you know, you never put a ceiling on it. You never say it's a 300 wicket or a 250 wicket. You just go out there and you keep trying to push the boundaries, and if you fancy someone, take him on. Always trying to take the positive option and push the game forward. What
was it like watching Joss and that performance and the way he went about it?
Oh, he's, you know, the best white ball player in the world at the moment, the best England's ever had. You know, so to watch him go and do that on a small ground, I actually felt sorry for the guy. It looked like he was range hitting at one point. He was trying to hit everything for 6, and he was middling them more often than not. So, you know, I had the best seat in the house. It was fantastic to watch.
And a wicket at the end as well.
Yeah, I was actually going to come on when Sam Curran started after Rash on that end. And then Sam sort of said, no, he's desperate to bowl, so I was a bit gutted there. I missed out on a couple more overs, but I'll take it. I'm probably more proud of a wicket in all 3 formats more than I am about the 100.
And just finally, is it now a case of carrying on, do exactly the same in the next couple of matches? Have you spoken about resting players, that sort of thing? Oh,
that's out of my my jurisdiction, if you want to put it that way. I just play if I'm played, and I play the way I'm told to play. You know, I think we're always trying to push the boundaries. We have a simple way of playing, which is one bloke bats through and the other bloke bats, everyone else bats around them and is able to express themselves. That's been, you know, what Ruti's done for so many years with England. That was my role here. And if we get that right again the next game, then who knows what can happen.
Well, that was David Milan speaking at the close of play, and what a day it has been for Matthew Mott, the New England white ball coach. Let's hear from him. I caught with him yesterday, it's worth saying, before this game happened, and began by getting his reaction to starting this new role.
Yeah, very excited. I just think, you know, I've come in at a great time. I think that's, you know, especially off the back of the test performances, sort of feels like a new, fresh approach. I've been really impressed with the group so far, really warm and engaging bunch of people, both the staff and the playing group. So, yeah, I feel like already I can get into my work and, yeah, just enjoy being part of a very strong group.
How have these first few days been?
Yeah, good. I think most of it for me is just observing and listening and learning about the group and how they want to function. Owen and I caught up before this tour and you know, went through some stuff, and yeah, it's probably just feeling each other out a little bit about, you know, what roles and responsibilities we want to do and how we both want to take the team forward. So that's been a big part of it, and just getting to know the players. You know, just in and around the nets, talking to them, seeing how they're going. You know, that connection piece, I guess, is a big part of this tour in particular, and you know, hopefully you know, develop some relationship that will take us in a big 12 months of white ball cricket.
Now, the route to this job is a somewhat unusual one. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I suppose you know, even as a player, I did have coaching ambitions. I got my level 1 coaching at 16, and you know, did my level 2 at the Cricket Academy. So I'd always planned that some form of coaching, but it happened by chance. I really got an opportunity with New South Wales to come in as a player coach, and that started things off. And yeah, I've had a range of experiences over here with Glamorgan, you know, and New South Wales was obviously very fulfilling. And then, you know, just put my hand up for different things. Worked with Ireland in 2015 World Cup, and then, you know, probably the last 7 years of the Australian women's team have learnt a lot more about myself as a coach, and yeah, I feel ready to take on this challenge ahead.
Am I right in thinking that the original application was for the Australia job, but the same company was involved in the recruitment?
Yeah, I think that there was definitely a connection between the two companies. I'm not sure whether they're closely aligned or not, but they were certainly aware of my application, and you know, it lit a fire there. I probably wasn't really looking to get out at that stage, but the opportunity came up, and I'd spoke to my bosses about whether it was worthwhile going for. And once I went through that process, I probably then felt it was a good time to see this role. And the most attractive thing for me was the work-life balance with the split roles. I'm a big family man. I like spending time at home. But I also, get to scratch the itch of international cricket, and this is a really exciting era, I think, in English cricket.
That split role way of working, it hasn't always happened here. It's certainly not the norm around the world. Why do you like it so much, other than the work-life balance? Do you think it benefits the ability to coach a white ball side?
Absolutely, I do. I think the way that the cricket is going at the moment, and it's the same in the women's game. The demands on players and coaches is enormous, and there's a lot of content around the world in different places that almost simultaneously. So I don't think it's actually that workable for one person to be across all that, to be honest. And I just think whilst we've got people like Rob Key and Brendan involved, that we share a rapport already. So. I think the difference this time is we're all starting on the same page, and it's a blank canvas. So hopefully that counts for something. There'll be teething problems along the way. It's not perfect, and it won't be. But we'll learn heaps, and I think we'll have enough robust conversations to be able to work through it and work out what's the best for the whole system as well. And part of what we've talked about is parking the ego at different times and making sure we're really clear on what format takes priority at what particular time. So we'll see how we go.
Now, you're not the first to do this, but an Australian coaching England, how does that sit with you?
Yeah, look, I think coaching is one of those things that there's only a certain amount of jobs in the world that you're qualified for or have the appetite to do. And I've always had an affiliation with England. I've played cricket over here since I was about 18. Played a lot of league cricket in Scotland and Wales, coached in Wales. So for me, it's like second home. It always has been. Some of my best friends live in this country. On days when it's like this, there's no better place to be than England. So and then when you get into coaching teams, I think that Ben Sawyer, the assistant with the Aussie team, with the way that the transient nature of teams these days, you've got to love the one you're with, and I think that's what I'll do. This group is going to get 100% of all my energies. Everything that I do will be about this team getting better every day, and that's easy for me to reconcile with. I think I love my time with the Australian women's team, and there's memories that I'll never forget. But this is a new journey, and my whole family's excited about what's in store over the next 3 or 4 years, and hopefully beyond.
Now, the Australian women's side, widely regarded as the best international sporting team across any sport. Living in Australia, such a successful team, what made you fancy the change? Probably back to the other question. It's about what's that new opportunity. I think as a cricket coach, you're always looking at the group you're with and whether you are the best person to take them on. And I always said with that group, there was so many good things that happened. I didn't want to stay too long, and I probably wouldn't have entered into another contract. I think that definitely would have been time. So you don't get you never get the perfect timing either. And had I not taken this opportunity, it could have been a number of years before something like this came up again. So it actually was an easier decision than I probably thought once we'd sort of looked at it. So. And I left that team well. I think I've got some great friendships there with the staff and the playing group, and I just continue to once you coach people, you sort of coach them for life as well. So they'll always know that I'll be following their journey as well. Interesting what you say about coaching them for life, because Meg Lanning, Australia women's captain, has spoken about almost that sort of pastoral care and that relationship. Is that a sort of hallmark of your coaching style, to be there, not just someone telling how to bat, but also how to live and how to be happy? Yeah, well, I try to. I think the word coaching is probably overused at different times. I think that the percentage of time that you in our roles, once the players are at this level, they know their games pretty well. A lot of it is about building confidence and building relationships and making sure that they're on track. And they'll go through ebbs and flows with their own. Even Meg, one of the best players of all time, quite often will need some support around her. And the best way to do that is connect on a human level and take interest in everything that they do outside of the game. So definitely something I aspire to do well, and it's nice to hear that. She wouldn't tell me that personally, so it's good that I hear that secondhand. But all those things, I think
I think back to people that have coached me, and the ones that I've enjoyed the most are still friends, and you know, they've helped me in a number of life decisions, and cricket is a part of it, but it's not all of it.
What does it say about the women's game that you can go from a high-profile job in a women's international team to a high-profile job in the men's game, in terms of where the women's game is?
Well, I think it's a great thing. I think you know, one of the things that I suppose people would have said 7 or 8 years ago is once you go into the female system, you might not cross back over. And I think one of the positive things about this is, yeah, it looks like a coaching pathway, not just a male pathway or a female pathway. And you know, hopefully it motivates other coaches to get involved in women's cricket. And the other side is, I hope some female coaches look to cross over to the male pathway and get involved there. And you've got a seamless transition, because to me, coaching is like teaching, and you know, some of the best teachers I had were females as well. So, and I think the modern player expects a certain amount of empathy and be able to relate to people. So, there's absolutely no reason why that can't happen, and hopefully this appointment helps with that.
This is a team that has high expectations. Just finally, what are your expectations over the 4 years? Do you think you'll be winning World Cups?
It's certainly the goal. I think you never go into a role like this not expecting to win, and you'll be judged win-loss. That's always the, you know, whether it's the public or the your own employers, that the bottom line is you need to win cricket matches. But I would think that hopefully you're always judged at the end of your tenure and not at the start. And we're going to win some games, we're going to lose some games along the way. But one of the mantras that I like to live by is that you want to leave the place in a better place than when you found it. So that's basically what I'll be trying to do, and it's in a pretty good place now. So the challenge will be difficult, but in that 4 years, I'm sure we'll transition players in and out, and we'll be judged on that legacy at the end of whenever that is, whether they've been a better cricket side or not.
And we've seen fireworks on the Test side. We're going to see a similar sort of attitude, mentality for the white ball team.
Yeah, I don't think that needs much change. I think that's been a hallmark of this team for the last few years. So that freedom that Owen has certainly created amongst the playing group is something that I'm certainly not coming around to mess with. And I'm looking forward to observing. It was a really fun net session today. The players went out and expressed themselves a lot, and I think they've been a bit starved of one-day cricket for a while. So I think they're really chomping at the bit to get out there and show off their skills.
That was Matthew Mott, the New England white ball coach. He'll be a very happy man this evening, no doubt about that. These matches, of course, represent a huge boost to Dutch cricket. It's a series that's going to provide benefits in terms of exposure and also finances. I popped around the grounds of the hospitality tents midway through the second innings. I spoke to Guido Lanzier, the chair of the Dutch Cricket Federation, and he was understandably excited about this series.
Well, I think this is really an exciting period, especially what you see right now here in Amstelveen. There are 6,000 people in the audience, the crowd. You see people drinking, people eating, and there's a great match. And this is really special for us in the Netherlands. From England, 6,000 people in the audience is not very special, but for us it is. We have 5,000 people are members of the Cricket Association, 50 clubs. So you can imagine if the big countries like England, Pakistan, New Zealand, West Indies are coming to the Netherlands, the cricket community in the Netherlands is really excited about it.
Because when people hear cricket, they don't necessarily think the Netherlands.
Well, I think there's a lot of untapped potential, what you see right now. We have a long history, more than 125 years. Cricket is established in the Netherlands, but you see now it's growing. It's also the part of the immigrants, but also other people getting more involved into cricket. We don't have a big history, but I think if you see it like this, and the enthusiasm, also not people from inside the cricket community, but the national media is looking into these matches. You see it on the newspapers, we see it on television. So there is a rumor going on, and it's very good for us also to get this untapped potential. That we see it as also a great opportunity to grow here in the Netherlands.
When England supporters think of the Netherlands, they think of 2009 and 2014, those famous wins in T20 World Cup matches. Are they still sort of heralded, those two games, as huge landmarks on the journey for Dutch cricket?
Yeah, they're really special moments. Ask some of the people here, the Dutch players, Dutch people in the audience. They all come back to these great matches. In some clubhouses you see pictures of the heroes like Edgar Schifferly and so on. You see it in the clubhouses on the cricket. It's really huge that we won from, well, the World Cup 50 overs right now in the past. And well, maybe not today, but we hope that on Sunday or Wednesday we got an opportunity to maybe also to give to make a real match against the big England. But we are very pleased that there is a Super League, and qualifying, we qualified us to be part of the top 12. We are number 13. To be in the Super League is really special for us. We consider ourselves as a challenger. So if we are at our best, and maybe the other team like England is not really at their best, then we think we could also, there's a possibility that we could win. We have right now we have a great team with youngsters like Frikram Singh, Arjan Dutt, Bas de Lede, but also more older people like Pieter Zeelaar, and in the middle Vivian Kingma from Beek. So we made progression. You've seen it also to West Indies, the third match. We were able to also to win. So you see that for us, it's really, we would like to be the challenger of the top 12. So these matches against top 12 countries like the countries I mentioned are really special for us.
What's the realistic aspiration for cricket in this country? What's the hope and dream for the next 5-10 years?
Well, first of all, the hope, we have two, what we consider, the hope is cricket development. We want to grow, maybe also to, we have 5,000 cricketers, we want to grow to 10,000 cricketers, and high performance. So we, just like we have right now, we want, we want to have the Dutch national team with almost complete Dutch grown, in the Dutch competition grown talents in the national team. So, and hopefully we'll qualify for the Olympic Games in LA. So that would be great, of course. So it's grow with members, growing with clubs, and growing also in performance, high performance with the Dutch national team.
It doesn't look as though English supporters have had to find too many reasons to come here to watch cricket. But if you were to tell somebody who had not watched cricket in the Netherlands what the experience is like, how would you describe a day out at Amstelveen?
I think you could describe it as have a nice day, and it's a hive day. You see top sport, and England team is top sport, but also the Dutch team is top sport. But it's even more. You have a nice day with the sun. You have making fun with your friends or families. You drink, you eat, you see a match, and that it's more than a match. It's an experience. It's that's the reason also I say have a nice day if you go to a cricket match.
And just finally, how proud are you to look out and see what's out there, those supporters, a Dutch team playing against England as they are?
Well, you know, it's not television, otherwise you could see my face. I'm really proud to see here also what we realized here with all the stands and all. We have the music and the people here, so I'm very proud on the Dutch team, but also what we organized here, and hopefully the coming days that I get even more proud that we can be a real challenger for the English team.